Hello everyone, my name is Gina Brinker and I will be presenting an instructional design plan for beginning piano courses. This plan will focus on the beginning basics for learning to play a piano. As with any instrument, professional levels are reached over time and at different paces for learners. Continuous improvement will develop over time in which learners will retain, interpret, and apply the skills learned in this instructional unit. By learning the basics including musical notes, white and black key arrangements, and symbols in this unit, learners can achieve future success if they choose to pursue further study in this area. This proposal plan will also teach learners the placement of fingers on the keys, the concept of middle C, the names of the notes that correspond with the white keys, and the difference between black and white keys. By presenting scales for learners to utilize, the finger placement and the names of notes will be covered along with the types and values of the notes. This unit will also cover the basic symbols known as treble clef, bass clef, sharps, and flats. Learner abilities and characteristics will vary among age groups. This plan can be utilized for learners of all ages as long as they can read and understand letters and numbers of the English language prior to the lesson. The ability to see and hear is beneficial, but extra assistance for learners with these disabilities will be accommodated to reach their learning goals. In order for potential learners to advance in piano concepts and playing, it is necessary that they know the planned instructional concepts and skills. The amount of time needed or required to interpret concepts and skills will vary among the learners based on interpretation levels and time devoted to studying and practicing. It could take a few weeks to understand the note arrangements printed on sheet music, including various symbols and note values. If this goal is met within this time frame, a learner could progress into successfully playing short songs within 2 to 4 months. Materials that learners will need include access to a piano or keyboard and instructional sheet music or books. Universities and colleges are ideal places for providing lessons, along with in-home atmospheres where one-on-one lessons between instructors and learners can occur. Recreation centers, theaters, or music stores may also provide pianos to use for lessons. Instructors should have at least 5 years of experience administering piano lessons and have been playing the piano for a minimum of 10 years at an advanced level. Adjusting the plan to meet the learning levels of the learners is necessary, and instructors with this type of experience will be well versed in the concepts and skills needed from beginner to professional levels. Issues and problem areas that learners experience would be identified and solved as well. There are goals to recognize when designing this instructional design. The unit of instruction covers the basic concepts for playing the piano and allows learners to physically play tunes and recognize the sounds of the piano. Whether a learner is learning to play the piano for personal or professional gain, he or she needs to know the basic concepts of playing the piano in order to achieve advanced levels. This initial instructional design needs to be utilized so that learners understand the basic concepts in order to progress into future instructional units. Learners will be able to perform various chords with proper finger placement and recognize various types of notes and symbols. Obtaining consensus of the instructional goals will consist of consultations with piano instructors utilizing this design. They can be of professional level or have achieved the necessary requirements for becoming a teacher of piano. They can provide valuable feedback regarding the goals and whether they were met or missed. This will assist in determining the flexibility of the instructional plan to meet individual learner goals. The goals are measurable, and learners will provide answers to questions and tests on the presented topics using learning sheets or beginner books. Techniques played on the piano will determine the levels reached within a certain time period. Accuracy in the amount of information retained will allow for alterations to the instructional design if needed. Surveys and exercises will be given to learners to determine if they have met the minimal level of knowledge and skills based on the instructional plan. The survey will include questions and diagrams to test the learner's ability to identify types of notes and how well the concepts and various points are understood throughout the lesson. The results will help the instructor determine where flexibility in the instructional plan is needed to accomplish the goals of the learners. There are 5 performance objectives that learners should accomplish through the use of this instructional plan. They include placing the hands and fingers in the correct position on the piano or keyboard, identifying the names and locations of keys on the keyboard, recognizing the various types of notes and their count value, determining the difference between the black and white keys, and understanding the symbols including treble clef, bass clef, sharp, and flat. Once these objectives have been met, learners will be able to advance in the process of learning how to play the piano or keyboard. Motivation should already be present when learners express a desire to learn how to play the piano, but there are some things that instructors can do to enhance and keep the motivation going. Choosing popular songs such as Yankee Doodle Dandy and Happy Birthday will allow learners to reach accomplishment by learning a familiar tune. Certificates of completion will also motivate learners to continue onto the higher level classes. Information will be presented in the following order to ensure that all concepts and skills are covered. There are 5 main areas of focus. Number 1, the location and names of piano keys. Oral and written instructions are utilized to teach and identify the names and location of the keys on the piano. If piano sheets or instruction books are not available, students will outline their right and left hands on regular white paper and label each finger on each hand with the numbers 1 through 5, working from the thumb outward toward the little finger. Each number will correspond with the correct letter on the keyboard. If a keyboard labeler that sits above the keys showing their locations is available, it should be utilized. Number 2, the placement of finger on the corresponding keys. Placing the fingers in the correct location on the keyboard is necessary for accurate format and performance. The thumbs of both hands will start at middle C and go outwards along the keys. The diagrams of the hands from the prior step will be used to visually see the proper locations. The right hand will cover the keys C, D, E, F, and G, and the left hand will cover keys C, B, A, G, and F. The keys for the right hand are read left to right. The keys for the left hand are read right to left. Number 3, music notes and count values. Music notes and their values are necessary to keep proper time for pieces of music. Whole notes have 4 counts, dotted half notes have 3 counts, half notes have 2 counts, and quarter notes have 1 count. The count values are determined using seconds. Learners will be provided printouts and/or music books with pictures and count values. They will also receive blank sheet music to practice drawing the notes by hand. Number 4, symbols of treble clef, bass clef, sharps, and flats. Symbols called sharps and flats represent the black keys on the keyboard. The key in which the piece was written is determined when one of these symbols is present on the top and bottom of the rows near the treble and bass clefs. The corresponding keys, including white and black keys, are then utilized when playing the piece. These keys will be learned in the same way as the white keys by following diagrams of each hand and identifying each letter and number which correspond to one another on the keyboard. Number 5, the differences between white and black keys. White and black keys vary in names and sounds. When viewing sheet music, the top row is performed using the right hand and the bottom row is performed using the left hand. The treble clef symbol is placed on the top row and the bass clef symbol is placed on the bottom row throughout the entire piece. The symbols of sharps and flats represent the black keys located above the white keys on the keyboard. Each symbol represents a black key. Sharps are played using the right hand and flats are played using the left hand. Learners will practice drawing symbols on blank sheet music. Handouts will be given to provide pictures of notes on both rows, and learners will be asked to label them according to key names, which were learned earlier by tracing their hands or studying beginner piano books. The handouts will also cover finger position, sharps, and flats. To enhance the learning process, labeled and unlabeled diagrams of notes and key sequences will allow learners to fill in the blanks with the correct information. There are several activities that learners will participate in to learn the basic concepts to create and perform short music pieces. The instructor will play music notes for learners to listen to in order to sharpen the sense of sound. Lectures and question and answer sessions will accompany this portion of the instructional unit. Learners will create short music pieces of their own creation. They will learn how to draw symbols and notes. Instructors will assist with note arrangement based on ideas coming from the learner. Depending on the size of the class, this activity will be done either individually or in pairs. This process is beneficial in memorizing note values and the placement of symbols. Each learner will have a piano or keyboard of his or own to utilize. Pianos can be in multiple numbers at universities or colleges, a learner or instructor's home, or a music shop where learners are permitted. Practicing concepts and keyboard strokes are necessary in learning the concepts and memorizing material. Learners must have easy access to a piano or keyboard for this activity. Various written reports will be assigned on famous composers of music. These reports will be short writing pieces and will cover various genres of music and musicians from different eras. The reports will enhance the versatility of the learner in music cultures. Learners will receive feedback from the instructor on the selected subjects. Learners will be tested on the piano skills through quizzes, written exercises, and hands-on performances. After each area of the instructional design concepts are presented, a quiz will be administered to learners verifying the progress made. The quizzes will be administered at the end of each week. Areas of weakness will be determined by the quizzes so that teachers can redesign or improve the instructional plan. To determine if fingers are placed in the correct position on the piano or keyboard, the teacher will move around the classroom and visually look at the learner's hands and make necessary corrections. Learners will take blank sheet music with printed keys and write in the correct names of the notes. After learners have accomplished this task, the instructor will give a written or verbal quiz every 2 weeks containing music note names, types of notes, and black and white keys where learners will draw the notes and determine their count values on a blank music sheet. Resources and/or notes are not permitted for the quiz. To ensure that all performance objectives have been accomplished at the end of the entire design, a final written exam will be distributed containing questions about the black and white keys, symbols covered during the instructional unit, and music note names with time values. With guidance from the teacher, learners will further their knowledge by writing out a unique short tune and performing it for the teacher or class if it's in a group learning setting to ensure accuracy and sound flow. Each song creation will be different, so cheating or copying off of others will not be possible. Each learner will be assigned different tunes to create and play. By administering tests and exercises, instructors can determine the success of the instructional plan and whether all the learners' abilities are met or not. Methods of teaching and possible changes in the plan will be determined by the outcome of the learner's success and understanding of the piano concepts. Testing will also determine whether some concepts need to be reviewed again. Mastering the concepts taught will be verified depending on the setting where this instruction plan is utilized. If lessons are taught at a college or university, credit will be given which will be reflected on transcripts. Grades will be awarded which determines if the learner can advance to higher levels. If lessons are taught privately or in group settings outside of traditional classrooms, certificates of completion will be given, providing proof that the concepts taught were retained by the learner. If employers request proof of knowledge, learners will be able to provide an official college transcript or certificate signed by the instructor. As with any instrument being taught, the best way to learn is in person so that the instructor can verbally cover the concepts in full detail and address any questions learners may have. This course is a beginner-level course which is more beneficial to have instructor-learner interactions and hands-on training as opposed to online instruction. There are various websites learners can access on their own time to enhance the concepts presented. Instructors can provide some various applications for iPhones and iPads, but it would not be a requirement due to the various age levels in the classes. Some learners may not have access to technological devices or have enough knowledge about the technology itself. Overheads and printed handouts containing the various notes, symbols, key types, and locations will be used in this course. Depending on what online tools are available and used at the facility where the lesson is held, the overheads and handouts will be available to view on Blackboard Vista, Desire to Learn, and/or Moodle. There will also be PowerPoint presentations of the lectures available to view and help clarify any questions about the concepts learners may have away from class. Since this instructional plan is based on hands-on classes, there is no need for graphics or audio software. One site that can be suggested is Audacity, where learners can become familiar with the ability to record themselves. The instructional plan contains one-on-one interactions including instructor to learner, learner to instructor, and learner to learner. The method for teaching basic piano would be synchronous because there are concepts that learners need to understand before moving on to advanced levels. The material is presented in segments that build upon each other, which continues through advanced piano lessons. Providing PowerPoint presentations for learners to access outside of the classroom will be beneficial for learning the basic concepts. Learners of musical instruments all have different time frames for completely grasping concepts, and having physical handouts and presentations to view at any time will allow the concepts to be fully understood. PowerPoint will not require editing of any sort since the material presented is standard in most basic level piano courses. Unless the instructor decides to alter the instructional plan in the future, there is no need to re-record the presentations. Since learners can work with each other as well as directly with the instructor, a tool that may be beneficial is Course Forum. Course content, learners' questions, and general discussions can be accessed and created here, which could assist learners who may be struggling with certain concepts. It can also provide an outlet for the instructor and students to interact about the class and outside resources for learners to utilize. There is no need for a technical expert to assist with this software since there are plenty of instructions and forums available for new users to access. As previously mentioned earlier in the presentation, there are 3 learning management systems that could be used for this instructional plan. These include Blackboard Vista, Desire to Learn, and Moodle. Depending on where the piano lesson is given would determine if any of these programs can be utilized. The 3 programs are typically used in college and university settings where the instructional plan is utilized. A learner or instructor's home, music store, or other outside locations may not have proper computer programs to allow these programs to be accessed. Learners would be able to access them from school or home computers if the software is downloaded onto those systems. Moodle allows for instructors to interact with learners, create quizzes, and import entire classes from Blackboard Vista if needed. Online resources would benefit learners in understanding the basic concepts and language of music. Instructors can use some of the resources to build and create their lessons for the learners. The resources provide valuable ways for interactions between instructors and learners, but this plan is based on in-person and hands-on approaches, which makes it more difficult to present lessons in computerized formats. Although piano lessons can be taught in a variety of settings, instructors will utilize this instructional plan in a practical setting and environment. This instructional plan is ideal for a graded course at a college or university. A large classroom with a minimum of 15 keyboards will be practical for teaching group lessons. This will allow all learners to have their own keyboard to play while the lessons are being presented. The room will also have projectors and computers so learners can see the PowerPoint presentations, handouts, and also gain access to the recommended websites for further learning enhancement. Moodle, Blackboard Vista, and Audacity will also be accessible through these terminals. At the completion of the course, learners will be able to evaluate the class by answering a printed survey which includes various questions. These questions include topics of strengths and weaknesses, most helpful online tools, least and favorite part of the course, most difficult areas to understand, and a variety of questions about the effectiveness of the instructor. The printed version will ensure that the instructor does receive feedback from all the students present. If offered online, the risk of only getting a few completed forms or none at all could occur. After the evaluations are completed, the instructor can make various changes for future classes based on the learner's responses. The areas of weakness can be discussed with colleagues and/or department heads to improve the overall structure of the course. This concludes my presentation. I sincerely hope you consider using my instructional plan for the beginning level piano courses, as I do believe it would be beneficial to your department and university. Thank you for your time.